Hello and welcome. Today we're going to dig into a huge question for any leader. How do you stop a truly brilliant strategy from just dying on the whiteboard? How do you actually turn that plan into action and ultimately into a real success? Let's get into it.
You know the story, right? We've all been there. A game-changing plan gets announced. Everyone's buzzing with excitement, but then, somewhere down the line, it just loses steam. It fizzles out and never quite delivers what it promised. It's super frustrating, but the good news is, it's a problem we can absolutely solve.
So here's our game plan for this explainer. First, we'll nail down the common problem. Then we'll talk about practicing in a safe space. After that, we'll get into crafting your action plan, how to get ready for challenges, and finally, what that awesome destination, success, really looks like.
Okay, let's start with this huge gap between knowing what to do and actually doing it. I mean, it's one thing for a bunch of leaders to agree on a strategy in a nice, quiet conference room. It's a completely different ballgame to get your entire organization to execute on it day in and day out, in the middle of all the usual chaos.
And this right here is the heart of it. A perfect plan that's just sitting on a shelf gathering dust is completely useless, isn't it? The real test, the moment where you either win or lose, is in the implementation. It's all about translating that big, brilliant idea into small, concrete actions that every single person understands and can actually do.
So how do we close that gap between knowing and doing? Well, the answer is actually pretty simple. You practice. This next idea is so powerful. It's all about using simulations to let your team test drive the strategy before things get real and the stakes are high.
And check this out, because the contrast here is everything. Traditional training, reading a manual or sitting through a presentation, that just gives you passive knowledge. But when you get into a simulation, like a workshop where managers have to role-play a really tough conversation, you're forced to apply that knowledge. You go from knowing what to do to actually knowing how to do it when the pressure's on.
All right, so once you've gotten all those great insights from your practice runs, it is time to build the blueprint. This is where we get into the nitty-gritty, laying out the detailed plan that's going to guide your team from the starting line all the way to the finish.
Now, your action plan has to be built on a really solid foundation. First, make sure it lines up with your big picture company goals and, this is critical, your unique culture. Seriously, a plan that fights against how your company already works is just doomed from the start. Second, you've got to set clear, measurable milestones. How else will you know you're on track? And third, fairness and transparency have to be part of the DNA of this whole thing. That's how you keep people's trust.
And this quote just nails the end goal perfectly. See, you're not just making another to-do list. You are building, as the source material puts it, a clear roadmap, one that directly connects your big strategy to real-world things like performance and rewards. It gives everyone that clarity and direction they need.
Of course, no plan ever survives first contact with reality, right? A truly great strategy doesn't pretend challenges don't exist. It actually plans for them. This part is all about stress testing your plan and getting ready for those bumps in the road that you know are coming.
So when things get tricky, what are your non-negotiables? These are the principles you have to cling to. Making sure there's fairness in how things are done and in the results is absolutely crucial. Being totally transparent in how you communicate, especially when things go wrong, builds incredible resilience. And always, always, always stay true to your company's culture. Think of these as your anchors in a storm.
So, after all this hard work, the planning, the practice, navigating the challenges, what's the big payoff? Well, let's talk about the destination. Creating real, lasting success for your entire organization.
The first huge payoff is engagement. And I'm not just talking about good survey scores. When people really get the plan, when they believe it's fair, and they can see exactly how their work connects to the big picture, their buy-in just skyrockets. They stop being passengers along for the ride, and they become active, committed drivers of the strategy.
Second, you build real accountability. Those measurable milestones we talked about, they aren't just for tracking. They create a culture of ownership. That clarity means everyone knows what they're on the hook for, and the focus shifts away from blaming people when things go wrong to everyone owning the solution together.
And finally, all of this leads to one thing: sustained success. This isn't about a one-off win or a single good quarter. By building a roadmap that's fair, transparent, and actually lives and breathes within your culture, you create a system that can get results again and again. You build an organization that is just plain good at getting things done. So, we'll end with a question for you to think about. Take a hard look at your own strategies, your own plans. Have you really bridged that gap between knowing and doing? Is your roadmap truly ready for the journey ahead? Thanks so much for watching.